Hey everyone, Steven for Futurelooks.com, and this is episode 3 of our continuing COMPUTEX 2014 Taipei coverage. We've got some exciting things to show you from the PC DIY side once again, so let's jump on the floor and have a look. We're back at W Taipei at the Be Quiet suite here, checking out some new products from the company. And of course, I've got Christoph over here, who has been taking us through all of their new products so far, including the Pure Rock that we just looked at. Here's another product that we have something to tell you about, which is of course the new E10 series, Straight Power series. Is that correct?
Straight Power 10, yes.
And what can you tell me about it in terms of pricing? What makes it special?
First of all, this is a series we didn't have in North America right at the moment. It's running really well in Europe, and we just wanted to wait for the new revision, the 10th revision now.
The specifics, obviously, we want to know about is, of course, the wattages and the price points that you're going to hit with this one.
We will have two versions, the cable management version and a non-cable management version. We decided to bring the cable management version to North America only, and it starts with 500 watts and goes up to 800 watts in 100 watts steps. And from price point, let's keep, say this 500 watt model, for example, it will be around 110 US dollar MSRP. So I think with 80 plus gold and with our special features, it's actually quite a nice price.
And of course, you get the Be Quiet quality, which is obviously what you guys are known for in power supplies, right?
Exactly, yes.
That's great news. And of course, it'll be available in your current retailers and the new retailers that you talked about and earlier on, right?
Yes. We will be selling this one through Newegg and Amazon, for example. In Canada, you can reach out to NCIX and probably Canada Computers as well very soon.
We'll be continuing our coverage of COMPUTEX 2014 with more products from Christoph, including a brand new product in a brand new category that they've never sold into. So let's go check out some more new products from another company on the show floor. Covering some new products from MSI. First, I want to show you a couple new things on the motherboard side. They're showing off one of the first USB 3.1 motherboards. Now, if you're not familiar with USB 3.1, basically, if you take USB 3 and you multiply it by 2, that's the type of speeds that you get. So from 5 gigabytes per second to 10 gigabits per second, this new standard is coming on one of the new boards from MSI down the road. And again, this is just a concept. There's no pricing or availability on this. So hopefully we see this in the near future. Now, coming down the line here, we've got a new DDR4 board over here based on the X99 series. This particular board, again, is probably not going to launch until around the IDF timeframe, which is around September, so Q3 at the end of the year. You know, it's a great looking board, and hopefully we'll be able to play with this board soon after it launches around the IDF timeframe. Now, in the Asian markets, eco-friendly boards are extremely popular due to the fact that they use a lot less power, and they're usually a little bit smaller than their North American counterparts, using a lot larger boards and the systems too as well. So because of the need for that, MSI has created a series of eco-friendly boards, but in particular, what really stands out to me is this board right here. While other companies have taken the white motherboard concept to gaming and high performance, MSI has sort of turned that around and said that, look, white boards are more eco-friendly. So they created a white board based on the H97 chipset right here that has all the features of that particular chipset, but in a much lower power package here. And in fact, this board, and including all of its brethren, use less power than a standard light bulb. So we checked out some motherboards that addressed efficiency, eco-friendliness. Now we've got another type of efficiency, and that's thermal efficiency. At the show, MSI has just released a mock-up of their new Twin Frozer 5 design for heatsinks. Now this particular cooler will be joining some of the newer NVIDIA and AMD cards coming out a little bit later on. One highlight of this particular new cooler design is that it is way more efficient thermally. In fact, at the same level of noise produced by the fans between the Twin Frozer 5 and the 4, this particular cooler, the 5, will be 6 degrees lower at that same volume level. And that's really pretty impressive, considering that for most intents and purposes, most people are thinking that maybe we're done with heat sinks and coolers, and we should be moving to water cooling for more efficiency. But no, MSI has continued to push the envelope with their frozen design, and it's quite impressive what they've been able to do here. On the mobile side, there's a couple of developments from MSI in terms of notebooks. First of all, we have the new GT series built for gaming over here. This is a completely different industrial design that they've had from before. If you remember previously, the original GT design was a lot more plasticky. This one's taking some cues from their GE series, the GS series, and they've got this nice brushed aluminum top here with the Gaming Dragon series logo on the top here. Really nice looking, and as you can see, the ID carries through to the top panel here. You've got some much smoother accents here, the original Steel series keyboard design over here, and they've added some function keys on the left-hand side of the keyboard here. What I'm also told is that they're using M.2 technology for SSDs inside. They've also got a much improved Dyn audio system inside, still a full HD screen. And this whole package should be hitting the shelves by the end of Q3. In terms of pricing, we're looking at probably a little bit of a premium over the original GT series, simply because there's going to be an upgraded graphics card, upgraded specs overall. It'll still hold 32 gigabytes of memory, which is pretty incredible considering most notebooks can only hold 16 gigabytes. So great machine for gaming. Now we're going to look at something for the more workstation, professional-oriented crowd, just on the other side over here. If you remember at CES 2014, we looked at something called the Go series of notebooks, and when it launched, it was probably one of the hottest, thinnest notebooks on the market with, very powerful gaming graphics, a beautiful screen, and most importantly, like this one right here, it was super, super thin. Now imagine if someone did that to a workstation notebook, and that's exactly what MSI has done. They've taken the Ghost ID industrial design, and they're planning on turning it into a workstation series with K2100M graphics, Thunderbolt port, and still the same 15.6-inch chassis that you see here on the Go series. Now, other than that, we don't really know what the MSRP will be, and we don't really know when it's available, but what we've been told in passing is that we should be able to see those notebooks by the end of 2014. And now let's have a look at some more products on the COMPUTEX 2014 show floor. Checking in with one of our good friends from the PC DIY industry, Noctua. We absolutely love their fans, we love their coolers, even though we don't love the color. But that's fine because they released some new fans earlier before COMPUTEX started that addressed that particular objection. But for COMPUTEX 2014, they have some new coolers to show off to us. So right over here is the new 9 series coolers for 92mm coolers. These two particular coolers here replace the existing U9 series. Both of them are higher performance than the existing one, but come in 2 configurations. One with a single fan configuration using a U-type dual fin stack, and another one that gives you higher performance using a single fan out of the box, but you can add another fan for higher performance. Both of these will probably be priced within $5 to $10 of the existing unit on the market right now, and they should both be available by the end of the year. For low profile cases that have a lower ceiling height, we have 2 65mm low profile solutions right here. This guy over here is more of a traditional kind of a flat design, much like the L9 series that we reviewed recently. It's just a little bit taller for added performance. As you can see, there's a heat pipe in here, and it will be a fantastic addition to a lot of the more challenging case builds that are using mini IPX cases. But for those of us that have a case that's even lower profile, where performance and height are very important, Noctua is considering bringing out this guy right here that uses smaller fans, but in a much flatter, kind of almost like a server cooler profile. They're not sure if they're bringing this guy out quite yet, but they're taking feedback all the way through, and then they will make a decision hopefully later on after the show. Now both of these coolers should be within probably $5 to $10 over the L9 series where it's currently on the market. which is really great because now you have a choice between super low profile, a little higher profile with more performance, and something that doesn't really compromise on either of the two. This is their new L-type CPU cooler for the AMD AM1 socket. This particular cooler wasn't actually going to be, because based on the price of the AM1 boards, which is very, very inexpensive, they didn't expect anyone to want to pay about 40 euros, 40 US for a CPU cooler, but people wanted them. So what they've done is they've found a way to make it cost effective using a heat pipe sandwiched within this structure right here. It comes with a fan, a 80mm fan, I believe, and the whole thing should hopefully hit the market for about 40 US. That's what they're targeting at, but the final MSRP and availability are yet to be determined. So overall, it looks like the Noctua line of components is growing once again, and of course they're also growing in color choices now, which is fantastic for users. But with Noctua, you always know what you're getting. You're getting really high quality, you're getting silence, and we're really loving their products, and that's why we use them in our own systems as well too. So that's Noctua for COMPUTEX 2014. In Taipei, it's a lot hotter, a lot more humid than a lot of other places that we're normally used to in Canada and in the US. And that's why we've taken a moment to enjoy some Mr. Brown coffee, which is kind of one of the indigenous coffee brands in the region. And while we are sipping away on our cup of joe here, we're going to have another Megatech Minute.
Hey guys, Michael Kwan here with Megatech News, here for another Megatech Minute. When we're traveling to shows like COMPUTEX Taipei and CES and stuff, we tend to get a lot of press materials because they want to make sure that we know all about the different products that they want us to report on. And we end up with all these extra pieces of paper, all these pamphlets and stuff, and it's all important information for us to have. But when I'm traveling around on the trade show floor, I don't really want to carry all of that around with me. So what I do instead is I bring a flash drive, like this ADATA UE700 USB 3.0 drive here. And whenever possible, if I can get the product reps to load the PDFs and other important materials onto the flash drive instead, it's a lot easier for me to carry around in my backpack. This happens to be a USB 3.0 drive with 32 gigs of storage. It's nice and compact with a slide-out USB. I don't have to worry about losing any caps. And what it means is that I can toss that flash drive anywhere in my backpack and have all of the important information ready to go in my bag. So when I get back to the hotel room, I can bring all that exciting news to you guys. So that's another quick Megatech Minute. Send it back to Steven on the trade show floor for more exciting news from COMPUTEX Taipei.
This is the updated DJ12. Now, if you remember around 2011, Silverstone put out a case that had a number of PCI Express slots that no motherboard was able to support at the time. But now they've got another case here that's equally as striking. It requires 2 people to actually lift once fully assembled because it's so heavy. It's made of aluminum. The power supply is housed right inside behind the 5¼ bays. There's also another series of mounts for your 3.5 and your 2.5 inch drives back here. Fits all sizes of motherboards. Heck, you can even run 3 360mm radiators down here, plus all of your pump equipment mounted to this angular wall here, which somehow accelerates the expelling of hot air. MSRP for this case, really, we don't know yet, and we're not even sure when it's going to come out yet. But what we do know is that Silverstone does plan to make this and put it out to market for whoever's interested. Next up, we're going to get some updates on some products that we saw at CES 2014, including some products that are brand new for COMPUTEX 2014. Now that we've seen a completely massive case over on the other side there in the Silverstone booth, we're going to check out some smaller cases. And the king of small cases here is Tony. How's it going?
I'm doing very good.
And as I understand, you have some updates and some new cases for us for mini ITX users, right?
So the design you see here was originally pinned for the FTZ01. But because of this more complex structure on the outside, we had to tone it down to actually make it possible that we could still use a unibody within a reasonable price range for the FTZ01. But still, the outcome looks very good. So you can see the unibody structure. So we will still one of the few PC case manufacturers that can actually build something like this for mass consumption. So it will be available in black and silver color. to give people more options.
Now, is there any indications of what you'll price this new case at, or even availability?
It will be quite a bit more than the RB001. It will come with all the fans and filters, just like the RB001. For probably, we're trying our best to get it as close to around maybe 120 to 130 range. It's a little bit high end, but
it's not bad.
It's you know about it. It's hard to make too.
Very cool. And as I understand it too, the NVIDIA guy, the product manager, made a special request for you to build a case for him, and he really loved your ML series. And now we've got this case down here called the ML06E.
Well, we switch around the motherboard placement and the power supply. So then now you could have the space here left over where we'll install the two 80mm fans to give you additional space for a dual slot, low profile here, as opposed to having all the cooling here for the CPU. So obviously, if you're building an APU where you have maybe a 100-watt one of those APUs, that's much hotter, then you would probably still choose the original ML06. But if you have a cooler running CPU that you want to install here, then you could have a discrete graphics card here as well.
Is there a price premium for the ML06E Special NVIDIA Edition?
No, I don't think so. Yeah, we'll work hard to make sure that the price will be very stable.
So it'll basically be up to the user whether they want the middle slot or the double slot on the outside.
So we won't continue the ML06. We'll just sell both of them together and let the customer decide which one fits their need the best.
Silverstone's always made premium cases, but over on the other side here, we have a new fighting case at a really low price point that we've never heard of from Silverstone. So let's go have a look at that. So moving on with our coverage at Silverstone at COMPUTEX 2014, we've got what I would consider a fighting case because it's definitely set up to fight, and not only because of the features, but because of the price, right?
Yes, definitely. So we're really proud to announce that we are developing the Silverstone SG13, Sugo Series 13 case. This is really an evolution of the SG05 that we had. It's one of the most popular cases that we have because it allows you to have a full-size gaming build in really a small shoebox space. With this one though, we've had a lot of refinements, a lot of changes, and we've really been listening to a lot of the audience saying, you know, they know what they want, and we know that that's good for the market, so let's change our products to being exactly what they want. So let's go ahead and take a look at the case itself.
Yeah, absolutely.
The very first thing you notice is that in the front of it now, it's got a mesh to it. And there's no spot for an ODD or any type of an optical drive.
Well, who uses one anyway?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's a dying format. Everything is downloaded online right now, flash drive, whatever you might have. So there's no point to it. So we got rid of that. That adds a lot of accessibility options to the customers. So now you can also add in the front of it a 120mm or 140mm fan, so even further increasing the godlike air performance and thermal cooling of the SG05 series. And on top of that, the other big thing that really allows you to do is if you actually take a look in the back of the case now, instead of having the older SFX power supply, which did scare away a lot of people just because of the lower wattages that are available on them, you can now have a full-size ATX power supply inside there. We don't have the exact limitation size-wise, but it can fit the typical ATX format. So yeah, this is something that we're really proud of having. It should be very applicable to a lot of consumers out there. It takes a lot of the modifications that they suggested. And like I said, we're really proud of the actual product itself.
So a lot of features, a lot of suggestions taken into consideration, but I hear that there's a really attractive fighting price for this case, isn't there?
Yeah, definitely. This is one of the things that we really want to make sure that we can do with this case. While it is still in the early stages, we can't make any promises, but what we are trying to do is hit an MSRP of $30 US.
So at CES, we saw a lot of updated cases. We also were anticipating an update to the Fortress series. You showed us the FT05, kind of a almost production-ready model, and now you're ready to launch it at COMPUTEX. What were the major changes between then and now?
So we've made a couple of changes to the Fortress series. In order to keep it pricing-wise friendly to all consumers, we did have to change the fans on these guys. The original rendition had an AP182 fan. The newer version has an AP181. It's a bit more inexpensive for the consumer, but has the same great performance as the actual case itself. Just as well with the actual unit, we're considering having two different color options. Previously, we were just showing a black variation of it. Now we're thinking about having the typical Silverstone silver coloration. You know, hand in hand with the name itself. It's really what we're kind of known for, having some of the higher class, higher quality, classy silver cases. So we're going to have that be brought over to the actual Fortress series itself. Those are really the main differences that we've had for these cases itself. And we do think that because we're able to drop down the price with those changes, the consumers will appreciate it much more and be able to afford it much more readily.
Now, speaking of price, do you have a target price and a target ship date?
So just like I was mentioning before, unfortunately, we don't have anything 100% solid set in stone yet, but we are hoping for an MSRP of about $200 US, and shipment is going to be happening about end of Q3. So very soon on that part, and once again, considering everything that the case has, if you watch the last video, all the features, all the specifications, all the performance that you'll get out of it, it's a very good price, a very good competitor in the market.
Well, that sounds fantastic, Mike. And that's our coverage of COMPUTEX 2014 with Silverstone. We'll be checking out the show floor for some more unique and innovative products. And we're over at ZOTAC to check out some brand new products. You know, ZOTAC is known for making graphics cards, but at COMPUTEX 2014 this year, they're showing off a trio of new products that are anything but graphics. In fact, they're whole systems. So my question is, when is a box not a box? And this is the answer. This is the Z box, but it's a sphere. This is the Z box sphere 01520, and it is a Core i5 powered machine that is very unique in many ways. First of all, the chassis itself is round, but inside the components are still square. And there was a lot of engineering done to make this particular unit possible, including the unique mounting system for all the components. You see up here, there's memory slots, making this capable up to 16 gigabytes of memory. You have a slot back here for your standard SATA hard drive. And on the bottom here, you even have room for your Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and another slot for an MSATA. So if you want to boot your operating system off an MSATA, you can totally do that. Now, this looks like it's very limited in terms of I/O, but that's not exactly true. You get a full Kensington lock on the side here. You get full I/O on the back here. Power switch, 5-in-1 memory card reader, power, headphone, microphone, display port, HDMI, 4 USB 3.0 ports even, 2 more USB ports, and LAN. And if you need an extra port on the side here for a USB key for quickly reaching for data, or even a keyboard and mouse, there's even one on the side here. The ventilation system is also very unique because the fan is on the bottom and it pulls air up through this chamber right here. And because it's not a box with limited space, there's a whole lot more cool air that it can work with within this sphere container here. Now it comes with a Core i5 4200U processor and HD 4400 graphics. And the MSRP for just the bare bone version is $370. But ZOTAC doesn't stop there. This guy here is the ZBox CI 320 Nano. Now this is more of a box. This comes with your choice of a Core i5 processor at the top range, all the way down to the bottom for Celeron or AMD purposes. The unique feature about this is that it's completely passive. It doesn't use any moving parts. So if you're worried about failure rates, if you're putting it in an environment which is extremely harsh, you should probably be running one of these. It does come in bare bone configurations, starting at $250 with an OS at the bottom. Pricing at the top range for a Core i5 version, bare bones, is $360. So basically you just add your own RAM and your own SSD and you're good to go. So another really unique way of bringing in small form factor PCs to the masses at multiple price points. This particular one is, because it's completely silent, will definitely appeal to people that need a completely silent environment. But there's one more product for us to show you, and it's much more powerful, and it's over here. Earlier this year, ZOTAC launched the E1750Z box, which basically is their answer to all of the NUCs out there, but with a much more powerful i7 4770R processor, dual core up to 2.6 gigahertz, and HD 5200 graphics. But if you're playing games, you're going to want something just a little bit more powerful on the graphics side. So what they did is that they went back to the drawing board and they created this guy here. This is the ZBox EN760. Now there's a downgrade in the processor, which isn't such a big deal if you have sufficient graphics. It comes with a Core i5 4200U processor, dual core up to 2.6 gigahertz. but it also has an NVIDIA GeForce GTX 860M graphics card inside. The ZBox EN760 will retail for $550 for a completely bare bones edition with the Core i5 processor, GTX 860M graphics. But if you want something that is a little bit more complete, you can buy a ZBox Plus version with those components included for additional money. And that kind of gives you a look at what ZOTAC is doing in the marketplace right now. Yes, they are known for graphics, but now they will be known for small form factor PCs. They're extremely powerful, addressing both the needs of power users and of course gamers as well too. And that concludes episode 3 of our continuing COMPUTEX Taipei coverage. I'm Steven with Futurelooks.com. Stay tuned for episode 4 of our coverage coming up really soon.